Hello everyone, welcome to Live Scribbles with Jonathan. My name is Jonathan Rector. You can check out my website and my work actually right here at jonathanrector.com. And I just wanted to go over my website real quickly instead of giving the whole spiel in the beginning. I figured I'd just walk you guys through it and just give you one more little gloss over. For those of you that have been to my website before, it looks similar to this. All the content, as you can see, has been gone. I've switched hosting providers, and there was something went wrong with GoDaddy, so I believe all the old articles are lost, which sucks. It's my fault for not keeping up a backup and all that stuff, but I'll try to be more diligent in the next one. So right now what I have, there's still some things to be fixed, content obviously added, but I wanted to have this here right away. Just give a little explanation of what's going on. And all down here, all the links you guys can find me online. All that will be adjusted. The other thing I wanted to point out as well that I've added to my website as well, on the right here, because I get a lot of people asking me about certain projects. Now, for right now anyway, all the projects that I'm currently working on are listed here with a progress bar, and I'm going to talk about that in a second. But on my website, I intend to have this here all the time. It's just a little current project. So for those of you that are interested in what I'm doing, you can check here, and if one of them is really tickling your fancy, like you're getting real excited maybe, you can always come here and see how far along it is until it's completed, and you guys get to see it, and it's in all of its glory. So for right at the crack here, so you can see the one that I've normally been doing with you guys is the Worlds in Peril role-playing game. There's inks, coloring, lettering, a whole bunch of stuff to do on that project. So that's why it's only at a measly 10%. This is actually a pretty huge project that I'm fortunate enough to be able to do. So this is going to be building as well. I wanted to put this up there as something that I'm always working on in the background that I keep having a lot of people ask about, which is the Ninja Turtle pitch. And I wanted to have that there as well so that you guys can check that out, see how far along it is. Jessup King, we all know that's the webcomic that I plan on doing. And just wanted to put a little setup here for you guys, just so you guys can see the stages that it's actually at. And you can check out jessupking.com to see the original pages of the original mini comic. And you guys can get a little bit of a taste on that. The webcomic is going to be much different than the webcomic. Sorry, the webcomic is going to be much different than the mini comic that's up there. It'll be less confusing as we go. I just thought it'd be fun to have it up there and just to test some things out myself. And the last thing right here is the secret project, the secret. I haven't really labeled it because I haven't come up with a name yet. But the idea of this is what we're going to be working on today. Let me just close that up right here, which is a little bit of character design for that. Now, the idea behind this project here, and I just want you guys to hear me out on this one. Like I've said, Jessup King will be my big personal project that I have a lot of goals and plans for that. I've got it pretty planned out as to what I want, at least by the end of this year, in terms of goals to achieve. Even flowing into a little bit of next year with conventions and trying to, depending on the amount of content, maybe there's something to actually provide in real life, such as a book or something like that. In the meantime, I've been listening to a bunch of artists. Big podcast that I used to listen to back in the day. I highly recommend you guys check it out if you're interested in it. It's called Art and Story. They no longer make episodes, but towards the end, they started talking about some things that sparked something that I had heard before, but you know how sometimes you need to hear somebody say the same thing again that you already know or that you've heard, and then it makes you go, oh, aha, yeah, you hear it differently and stuff. And what they were talking about was people that work on big projects all the time, and they take so long to be able to actually complete that most artists, not all, most, we'll even say some, I'll be conservative, some artists feel like they always have to produce something. I'm definitely one of those artists. I feel like I always have to have something online, something to show. So what this project here is one of those in-between things. It's not meant to be anything deep, thought out, big time, just something that I can start working out. And it's essentially a mini comic. And what I plan to do with this one is this will be a mini comic printed out. The sizing will most likely be an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, just folded in half. And those will be the page sizes. I'm not really worried about pages just yet. I just want to get like the rough script in there and then jump right into plots and stuff. So The theme behind this, and I wanted to show you guys this right here, this brain mapping thing that I do sometimes for personal projects, is an inspiration that I have, a guy named Corey Lewis. If you guys don't know who he is, definitely check him out. I can't recommend his stuff enough. The guy does phenomenal work. Shark Knife is one of his big books that he's mostly known for. What he does is very similar, and it's another angle of where I heard about this. Or it's like a mini comic that kind of floats in between projects so that you can get something out all the time, and you're not demanding a lot of yourself, but it's fun. You know, it's like a passion project. And what he does is something that I've been wanting to try, so we're going to try it with this one, which is taking an old video game, which kind of explains the old 8-bit music we were listening to in the pre-show. It's an old video game, put like a little bit of a twist on it. It doesn't have to be creative, just something that's inspired by something. So what I'm doing is inspired from the original Nintendo game Castlevania, and you know, it's going to be a lot more tongue-in-cheek. It's not serious at all. It just lets me draw some cool stuff, and that's what we're going to draw today. So we're going to start working on the main character, and so we're going to do some character design today. So let me just show you what brain mapping is. For those of you that don't know, I mean, most of us probably did this in writing, depending where you grew up and stuff, when you were growing up, when they were teaching you in English class and stuff. Right in the middle here is the point of what it is you're doing. So if it's a story, it could be the theme, it could be the chapter, all sorts of stuff. And then you just branch out, right? Hopefully this isn't that new for most of you guys. But for character design, what I like to do with this is break it up so I can find certain things. And as I already said, this isn't meant to be a huge, in-depth plot or story. But I need some stuff in here so I can take it to a concept. So here we go. I have a little section for his fears. That's obviously for the script. His needs, that's for the script. Wants, that's for the script. And the appearance, that's for what we're going to be worrying about today. So the fears, the needs, and the wants, don't really need to worry about too much of that. But it's what right here that matters for today. So I want to start breaking up some things in his appearance here, okay? So if you guys are familiar with the original Castlevania, the guy was heavily influenced by Conan the Barbarian. If you just look at the cover, except he's got a whip. That's about it. So I want to keep it in that flavor as well. So Conan the Barbarian I had right there. Simon Belmont, that's the name of the guy from Castlevania. I want a small scar on his cheek. A place for a little joke I kind of had myself when I was walking home, just thinking of things. I thought it'd be a little fun little thing. And right here is you know, my traditional style of drawing characters. However, I want to really play up character design in terms of shape. So square and massive. Okay, so square, massive, small scar on cheek, Conan the Barbarian, Simon Belmont. That's what we're going to be looking at for this design here. So let's see where we're at here. Let's move this around, make another layer. And let's grab our pencil. Just want to make sure it's the right size here. Where are we at? Should be good. So one thing that's really easy to do here is, I'm not going to go into the whole thing, check this stuff out, about the 3 shapes right here that most people talk about for character design. I want this guy to be a lot of square shapes, except the parts on him that are dangerous. He has a whip, he hunts vampires, hunts mummies, hunts mermen, Medusa heads, all kinds of cool things. So square head. And I just want to put some sort of like expression in the body here. I don't want to keep it just too flat. Now a lot of the details are going to happen after. So like I said, I want his weapons, which would be his arms. That's what he's using to attack. Oh, right on, Lars. One thing I wanted to have too was giant shoulders, but I want to make them blocky as well. And the whole point for that is it makes his whole upper body just seem blocky, like he's solid, you know. And then from here we can start getting into some triangle shapes. Where are we going to put this hand? Maybe this way. He's doing some robot thing. Now, the tricky part is I think I want to have like the triangular shapes for his legs as well, just so that it looks like he's solid, but he can still kind of move around. I'm just trying to put on some bulk here just to see where things are going. Now, he does have a whip, just like the guys in Castlevania. So, should have a stick. that can help give him some motion and some movement as well. And then on this one side, Simon Belmont has this knife, and I'm not 100% sure. I think it's silver, which would make sense for hunting werewolves and stuff like that. And he's gonna have that the big what's it called, the mane kind of hair that your Fabios and your Conan the Barbarians would have. So let me just change some stuff up here. I definitely want his upper body to be pretty massive. But we're going to need to change his lower legs. Yeah, just give him a little bit of attitude there. Okay. Oh, you posted a link? Okay, sweet. Check that out after the stream. Okay, so now we have this information, we can go in here and just start to like put some structure in here. So again, let me just get my follow through line. So I need to try to keep this as much of a box as possible. It's kind of I find it a little difficult to work like this because I feel like I'm like stuck. It's very rigid to work like this. Like I have to keep remembering this sort of shape throughout the entire design. But that's the whole point of this. I want to try to see if I can get some stronger silhouettes and stronger design just by doing stuff like this. Because the detail can go inside. And again, these characters aren't meant to be heavily detailed because this is just supposed to be quick stuff here. Okay, so let's put this shoulder in a box perspective here. Kind of look like shoulder pads, but they're not. Boxy neck. And then now here with the hands we can kind of, what do we do with this one? So I want the boxy hands here. And here I can do a lot of sharp shapes. Yep, I hear what you're saying. Ian's saying it might help if you loosely define the gesture before going straight to shape. Yep, that that definitely does help. At least for like placing the figure inside as well. His upper body still isn't as blocky as I want it. Let's bring it out even a little bit more. Lars is saying he finds it difficult to do the sharp shapes. I think most people have a problem doing the sharp shapes because there's no real volume to them. It's like if I draw a square, right, I can easily imagine the cube. A circle, it's usually pretty, dimensional. You can kind of figure your way around that. But a triangle, it's like, okay, is it a boxy triangle like this? Is it is it a rounded triangle? Like is like when you draw hips, some people do this. Is it, there's a shape back here like the underwear that people draw, like, right? Like there's a lot more questions going on with this kind of stuff here. That's for sure. So this hand is actually really boring. See if we can gesture and something. I kind of want the whip to not dangle. Maybe come down like this. Just to get some dynamic stuff going, like, you know, maybe he's pulling on it behind him. I don't know why he'd be pulling behind him. Doesn't really make much sense. But okay, so we have that. I'd already done some design work at work during my lunch, so I kind of have an idea of where I want to go with what's going on here. A lot of his design is going to be pretty boxy, but I have to try to keep it like Conan mixed with Simon Belmont, just so that it reads a little bit. So he's kind of got like that Spartan thing here. He's got the big furry boots. And he's got the big bracers. He's got the big furry mane to go with the boots. Now, instead of just making it look like he's totally ripping them off here, I wanted to have some design up top. But we can worry about that in a little bit. So let's just lower our opacity. I'm going to make a new layer. Now, even with the face, I wanted to go like brutally boxy here. So let's see what we got here. Oh, hey, Scrap. Oh, it looks like we got a whole bunch of other people in the chat. So thanks, everybody, for popping by. All right, so I just need to have an idea of where the face is going here. So trying to think of a box here, right? Keep everything boxy. Everything boxy. So even he's going to have a headband because Conan the Barbarian has a headband. Simon Belmont has a headband. It's going to go further back because it's got to keep those flowing locks all all in place there. Now, a lot of design has like this round one in here. I want to get even, you know, more gross. You can keep going with boxes in here. Where's his eyes? Now the eyes, I might start putting a little more triangular shape on them. But the nose, I want to be very boxy. He's a real fun guy, so he never really smiles. Big old box chin. Massive jaw. And again, I'm trying to keep with the simple shapes as much as possible so that I can hammer this mini comic out pretty fast. Now this is the fun part, the hair. So the hair, like I was struggling with the hair to get it boxy and stuff, and I think the hair is the one spot I'm going to allow a little bit of movement in there because I really like this kind of hairstyle. That Fabio, whatever his name is, kind of flowing locks, right? And then it's gonna, some of the hair gets pinched, or actually all of it would get pinched in here, inside the bandana. It looks so ridiculous. And then it just unleashes itself from behind there, right? So it's kind of like a mullet, but not always. And I forgot, I want to have the ears to be real boxy too. Probably should be right there. So let's take a look at them. Starting to look a little bit like Omega Red a bit here. Okay, looks like we've got some questions here. Lars is asking, did you freehand the speed lines in your Leap of Fate panel? I know you did it in Photoshop. No, I didn't. So what I'll show you guys real quick, I apologize that the computer's going to die, so just give me a second. I'll say it while I load it so that my, you know, voice doesn't get all silly. That. So that's what we're going to be looking for. Da, 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 da. And honestly, I believe I found this on DeviantArt. Actually, really cool. So let's just do a, I don't know, 500. No, yeah, 500 is fine. 500 by 500 document here. Did you use the thing in Manga Studio? If you're talking about with the speed lines, no. I was actually struggling a bit, but now that I figured, or I found this out in Photoshop for speed lines, it changed a lot. Like, there's... No, I definitely didn't do it freehand. To me, just looks... The whole point of digital, in my opinion, is to be able to do things faster, not necessarily... what's the word I'm looking for? If I'm trying to do things by hand with paper and stuff, there's something magical about it. You know, I find there's a romanticism about it. However, there's certain effects that I feel like I can do in real life as opposed to digital, where it goes back and forth. So some things I can do digital, some I can't. What digital lets me do is not have to worry about a ruler and make textures and things and manipulate textures to get certain effects. In this case, speed lines. Whereas in real life, you got to crack with the ruler, excuse me, all that stuff. So let's just assume that, oh yeah, that's nice and pixelated. So this was our, no, we don't need all this, sorry. I'm putting too much into this. Okay, so I have a brush here. All it was, let me just open up the brush settings so you guys can kind of see it. So your shape dynamics, all that stuff, I believe it was the size jitter is max. Other dynamics, is it the opacity? Yeah, opacity jitters max. And smoothing. I believe that was it. And all you do, check out on DeviantArt. I apologize I don't have the link for you, but you just hold shift and you click, right? And you're going to get a straight line. And it looks kind of gross. Like, what is all that? And the next thing, all you do now is you just Control T to transform. If you hold Alt, you'll affect both sides at once, and you just stretch it out. And presto changeo, you got speed lines. Just like that. Done. Absolutely done. And all that I did was sometimes they needed to be a little darker. Like, I don't know why this is showing up a little bit more gray. But if you just duplicate the layer over top and then merge it down, you can keep doing that. It'll actually make it thicker and darker. But that's what I did. So just go to V. Just say you wanted to do the next part. We'll put it in a perspective. Transform it again. Right click, distort. And bang. That's basically what I did. And what I used this for was there was a character jumping down into a city off of a building. So it was pretty crazy perspective there. So I put a bunch of these in there. Now, like, and that's it. This is done. Now, don't get me wrong. Manga Studio still has way better features than this, but the fact that I'm able to do this now, great. And one thing I'll definitely tell you guys to do that I recommend is, if you work in a lot of inking or shadow work, there's a lot of blacks. When you start putting speed lines on black, it can look kind of shiny. So make sure that your speed lines are on a separate layer. So let's just say our background was black. Now that we have our speed lines on a separate layer, you can just lock it, change your foreground color to white, and just fill it. And there you go, you got white speed lines. That's it. And it all started, I'll show you guys one more time, for those of you that may have missed it and might be interested in it. So make sure we got a black. See, the stupid part is I have a brush here again that you guys don't have. So let me just go through it one more time. So it's a default round. Hardness is all the way up. Spacing, that's what I didn't tell you. Make sure the spacing's up to about 175%. That's what's on here. It's a 9 pixel brush. Shape dynamics, the size jitter is 100%. Everything else is 0. Other dynamics, opacity jitter is all the way up. And make sure your smoothing's on. And just somewhere in the middle, you don't have to be perfect, just click and then hold shift and then just draw a straight line across. Since pressure sensitivity is on, I can actually kind of get in here and like get some lines. You kind of understand it after a while. And then just transform it, Control T, hold Alt. If you don't hold Alt when you're doing a transform, you'll just hit one side like this. To save yourself some time, just hold Alt and it'll affect whatever direction you're going. So just like that. And that's it. And then just duplicate the layer a couple times so you see it as dark as you like it. And transform. Now it might look a little thick. I'll tell you this right now. That's because this is so zoomed in. You start zooming out, it starts looking real cool. And you could actually probably turn this into a brush to make some rendering stuff. So, yeah, hopefully that helped you out. Alright, so let's get back to this guy. This guy's kind of getting... now that I said Omega Red, that's all I'm seeing, and I don't like that. Let's redo this head. I think that hair probably got a little out of hand. Alright, so let's just worry about the face for now. Alright, so we got the boxy nose. Want the bandana. Get the eyes in there. And let's get his chin. Get the jaw. Just trying to think of a box as much as possible. Now, I'm wondering if instead of having like... I kind of like that look though. Damn it. Maybe if we just kind of bring it down, look a little better. Plus we can get some cool shadow effects there. His hair's parting and it's all getting pulled. Just put like a line effect or something like that on there. Hey, yeah, no problem, guys. Like I say, if I could find... Actually, here. I want to find it for you because I need to give credit where credit's due. Speed lines in Photoshop. DeviantArt. If I'm lucky... DeviantArt can be such a pig to find things in. Can I find it? Yep. Okay. Cool. So for those of you listening, I'm going to paste in the chat. But those of you that are watching the pre-recorded version, head over to DeviantArt.com and search for Speedline tutorial, and it'll be by Terrible Nerd. And that's all one word. So Speedline tutorial by Terrible Nerd. Whoops, trying to say that to you guys. There you go. So that's for everybody in the chat. If you guys want to bookmark that, check it out. Give it a shot so you can do some speed lines in Photoshop. Probably help you out. Alright, so we got that. He's going to have his square ears. And then his hair. Again, he's a real fun guy, so he doesn't really smile. Give him the hero lips. They kind of have, like, not baggy under eyes, but this guy's motives are definitely not... I don't want to say he's an anti-hero, but he's not really there to help anybody else out. Oh, and I didn't really give you guys what's kind of going on with this. So, in Castlevania, for those of you that don't play video games, the idea is you are Simon Belmont, a vampire hunter. And Dracula has once again come back to life. And since it's your family duty to kill all vampires, you have to go to Dracula's castle to kill Count Dracula. And video game go. So what I'm doing, in a little homage mini-comic, is something similar, but I just want to, make it a little different. Not necessarily better, because, that's not how this works. Let me just kind of block in the thick shadows here. But in this one, this guy, he's not out to kill Dracula necessarily. He just really likes the castle. He just wants the he wants to live in the castle. That's all it is. So he goes there, and he's he's a big old tough badass guy. Now, what I'm still thinking as I'm trying to come up with the writing of this is, Why would he have a whip in the sword made of silver and stuff? What I'm assuming is I think he just likes to collect castles. And again, this is just supposed to be very tongue-in-cheek stuff. He likes castles. So when he sees this like castle that he really likes, it's kind of like he's like, I don't want to say he gets turned on in that way, but he's like, oh, I gotta have that. It's like somebody that has a crazy Magic the Gathering card collection or a Pokemon collection. Gotta have them. Gotta have that castle. So while he's, this badass goes around, he sometimes he asks the people that are there, I'm just letting you know I'm coming to take a castle. It's mine. It's mine now. Sometimes there's bad people or bad things that live in these castles. So that's when he shows up and he starts taking them out. So I want to get real gross with these shoulders too, just, literally chunks like that. And then the hands and stuff, whatever. I want to have like the meaty paws. It's a pretty gross looking fist. And the forearm and the bicep stuff. I know usually with these kind of guys like Conan the Barbarian and all that, the biceps must be bulging. I don't really care. I want this guy to be like chicken legs, except all he does is bench press and shoulder press. He doesn't do curls. He doesn't do anything like that. Because after all, when you use a whip, it's all in the shoulders, right? I don't know if that's true. So let's just get more back to the design here. I don't really care too much about the anatomy. Just want to get very rough design. And since this will be a mini comic, and I'll be printing it, it will be just black and white. And we'll see. I mean, the ideas are already popping in my head for this, and this kind of theming off of video games. What's that? Whips are in the wrist? Let me write that down. Whips are in the wrist. Maybe that could be another... I don't know. Maybe he's just not very good with a whip either. It's just... I have no idea. But we'll see how this is going. And like I say, I'm already thinking of other video games like maybe try to do this with. The idea of it sounds it's very fun. He thinks it's all from the shoulders. Ah, Van. My man. I'm going to write that down. He thinks it's all in the shoulders. Yes. So, he doesn't know why he can never get it. That's why he has the sword, right? Because the whip's real cool, but anyway, so the I was thinking of some scripting, some lines, and this might just be for the older crowd, but it's just lame, stupid jokes because the dialogue is I find very Frank Miller kind of writing. There's nothing wrong with Frank Miller or his writing. I love it, but when they say stuff like "the rain fell like nails," just something like that, and you're like, cool. I want him to talk like that sort of thing, right? So I'll give you guys the rundown so far of how it starts. This village that's near Dracula's castle is being overrun by Dracula's minions. So it's probably going to be spiders or zombies. They're just stuff. And the village is just getting destroyed, And then this guy, which... his first name's Pierre, by the way. Pierre Von Rad. That's his name. Anyway, so he saves the day. Not because he's there to save the day. It's those things are in his way to the castle. So he kills them. And this one lady, she looks to him. She's like, "Oh, hero, oh, mountain of muscle, thank you for saving us. Where art thou from?" He doesn't answer. Then she says, "What is your name?" He says, "Pierre." And then she just starts, her eyes turn to hearts. And she's, are you from North Paris? And he says, "No, West Philadelphia. Born and raised." And then he leaves. And then this other woman, she's like, "Before you go, please take this bowl of soup. It will replenish you." And then I won't spoil that. But he has a fear of soup. So, I mean, that's the style that this is going to be in, guys. Don't be expecting stuff to change your mind, change your world. He may have been on a playground, and he may have spent most of his days there, yes. Pierre Von Rad. Lover of castles. Fresh Pierre. See, now you're... you guys are getting it. He's going to have these huge moccasins because why not? Barbarians have giant booties. Both kind. So I'm pretty sure I already know where this is going. You gotta have the giant cod piece like most of these characters do to represent a giant schwanz. Forget the psychology, if anybody remembers that. I remember there's this thing that was supposed to be saying about, I know with Frank Frazetta and swords, or fantasy and swords. Swords just basically mean, are just giant penises and stuff. Maybe we'll put like a little bit of, yeah, I'll put a little bit of fluff right there. And I'm already seeing some of this this stuff where this guy starts kicking in a door, you know, and when he finally gets to Dracula, and it's like, wait, why are you here? And you know, it's, I just want your castle. And it's, you just broke into my house, man. I can just see I just have this idea in my head of oh man, of just Dracula's face, and this guy just breaks open his door, and it's like, you breaking into my house for? And this guy's like, oh, I want the castle, it's mine. And go. Yeah, penis. You can't say penis. Apparently, it's offensive. People get offended by that. I don't know. I don't get it, but all right. So does this guy look boxy enough? I mean, he's pretty boxy. Let's just do the quick test. And I do this just for myself. I mean, it's pretty gross silhouette. But it lets me see if I need to add some designs in places, if there's something that's, you know, too boring. And again, yeah, this is supposed to be pretty quick stuff, but still want it to be fun looking. Fun and quick. Alright, so let's pretend. Oh yeah, look at this kind of shape. This stuff, guys, John the Whip's going to be cool. Those feet are pretty fugly. Oh, what the hell? I can draw a better fit than that. Alright, so we got all that, and then his sword. And fill black. Fill black. That's a pretty cool silhouette. Works, I think. A lot of sharp boxes, though. Have I ever seen Captain Kronos, Vantar? No, I haven't. Now you're like that guy from... I'm not going to van you. What that other guy was saying before was just some wild action. All right, so I mean, I've got this. How much time we got left here? What time is it? Wow, this just flew by. I wanted to sort of have an action shot because this isn't still pretty boring to look at, but gives us what we need. Oh, why is this being drawn? Okay, I'll see if I can give just the rundown version of this. This is going to be a printed mini comic that you guys can buy off my site once it's done, if you're interested in such a thing. I will be putting like a 5-8 page preview, something like that. The idea behind this one is it's a comic I can get out there. I can do in my, I don't want to say spare time because I don't really have the spare time, but the half hour a day I can put towards doing something as cheesy, as quick, and as sloppy as this kind of stuff, and still feel like I'm producing work. And this is to tide me over for doing personal work until some of my client work opens up so that I can get back to Jessup King. Yeah. And that's about it. Actually, you know what I might do here? We're going to do just a face shot. That should wrap us up. So I think we got about 15 minutes left. So if you guys had any comments or questions or needed any help with anything, by all means, just pop it in the chat in all capitals, and I will do my best to answer it up for you. All right, so let's just do a classic shot. All right, so it's all a box. The Power Ranger Turtle dudes, those are on the back burner because of Jessup King. They were all little ideas that I wanted to put out there to see what people thought. But I will definitely be getting back to them one day. I just like them too much. Alright, so let's get his nose here. I'm trying to keep this kind of quick, because it'll be the style that I want this kind of done in. Do we shoot his jaw out like that? Alright, so he's got his hero lips. Alright. He's a massive sword. Oh no, Brando, see, I need to apologize because I do jump around in projects all the time. That is something I want to fix. However, Jessup King was something that I wanted to do for sure. The other projects were, if you guys remember, I had this. There was this Feng Zhu thing I talked about that I had seen on YouTube, and I made a video about it. And I had an article anyway on my site, but it's gone. That was talking about selling ideas to yourself, and that's what all of those like projects really are just selling them to yourself, right? And as much as brand new ideas always pop up or new things that are like, oh, that would be real cool to do. Always, like, I can't ever stop that, and I'm very lucky to be able to have that happen to me. But on the other side of it, it's exactly like what you said. It's always, there's always something new, right? There's always something fresh that you can be doing. But I need, like, I have this habit now where if an idea, like, let's just say this was like the superhero characters, I need to do this so that while the idea is still energized and fresh in my mind, I can catalog it so that once I do have time to come back to do a different personal project, then there's a whole bunch of work that's already been done. Like that energy, that spark, that freshness that I had is still there. If you know what I'm saying. But again, what I wanted to apologize was that I was giving you guys the impression, but it was kind of like I don't want to say crowdsourcing because it wasn't, but I just wanted to see the vibe that people were feeling for certain books and stuff. But like with this, you guys will see this isn't like what I'm drawing right here. This is almost as done as the final art would probably look like. He's got a little scar right there. Do I want to put it on his lip? Yeah, that makes sense. And then he's got the big square shoulders. I feel like I'm missing something on his face here. Oh, guess not. And actually, I want to try something here with you guys. So we might be going a little over. Oh no, we got. Don't give him the Liefeld chest. I love the Liefeld chest, guys. The problem with the Liefeld chest, in my opinion, is anatomically he fucked it up. And you know, I'm not saying that I'll be able to get it right, but what he did was his chest went out like this, right? The Liefeld chest goes like this. And then the back goes like this, and then it's like, okay, so here's his hips right there, and then his butt. So here it's like this happens, and this is wrong. This is wrong anatomy. Right? You can still have your chest shoot out like this, just as long as it still follows correct anatomy and form. As long as you give room for like the anatomy that's supposed to be there, it can still look fine. Like, don't get me wrong, this is this is massive and real gross, but you can make this work anatomically. Just putting it out there. I don't want this guy looking that stupid though, but he's definitely got the massive chest because I need everything to be box. Box, 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 box. Even his like arms are all going to be like this box shape. And then Dracula, he's all going to be like triangle shapes. That's obvious. Do a Berserker ripoff? That's what I'm trying to do for the... maybe my Godslayer book will be more ripping off that. That's another book I can't wait to get into. Okay, so let's just kind of simplify some of this anatomy here. He's starting to look like a Native American. That's okay. Native Americans are cool. Alright, we got that there. So what I want to try doing is, let's lower the opacity. Yes. And we're going to make a new layer. And I want to see if I can do like a Titan pencil, similar to like what I was doing for Jessup King. And then, like I say, this book's supposed to be black and white. But I still want this to look like pencil. How's that looking? Yeah, it's not bad, I guess. And this brush I made in Manga Studio after getting that Dave Raposa tutorial. I tried to copy as best as I could find anyway or similar settings that you use for that brush. And really all it is, so you guys can try it, is it's just adding texture to your pencil. That's all it is. And some, like when I pencil in real life, I love saying that when we talk about real stuff. But when I pencil stuff in real life, usually the pencil doesn't have this kind of texture. I use like a 2H lead holder. So it's pretty smooth. digital lets you do is it lets you have this control, undo, and you can keep redoing things when stuff starts to get out of hand. So because of that, this texture looks pretty cool. At least I'm digging it. All right, so I'm trying to keep simple shapes here. I want to, right there, if you guys saw, I was trying to go in and add a chin, but I need to discipline myself here and just keep remembering what the main shape of this character is. Like, even his ear is a freaking square here. Give him that scar. Give him a little chin dimple there. And do that for the chin. What if he's looking this way? Yeah, I kind of like that. He's crazed. Give me that castle. Alright, let's get the hair here. Probably just do a bust, and then we'll start slapping some gray on there. Actually, what I'm going to do, maybe I'll let you guys know next week, is I'm going to print this out from my printer and just see how this actually looks. Alright, even his hair. Box down. Let's get that hair. Easy breezy, beautiful. This guy's instead of a vampire hunter, a castle hunter. A castle hunter. Castle hunter. Maybe that'll be the name of the book. And I don't know about you guys and girls, but when you guys work on comics, your own comics, do you guys do research? That's almost, it's coming up with the design and the ideas and stuff like that. Research is probably one of my favorite parts of the whole process, only because you get to go into some cool stuff. Sometimes you'll learn things, if you like learning things anyway. But then sometimes, you get to do some pretty cool stuff. And for me, I haven't played Castlevania, the original one, in, oh my god, since I was a little boy. Little boy! Or in Canada, what we like to call little children, a little snowflake. We don't do that. So I downloaded it on my Wii U, and I'm gonna play that over the next little bit, just to keep the inspiration up there. Just oh right, you can hit this wall and there can be turkey in there. Doesn't make sense, but it's the little details like that maybe you forgot. You know what I mean? And if you did forget, it's cool to remember that stuff. Okay, I don't know what's going on with that neck. I gotta fix all this. But when you add little things in there, like for me again, a little homage, comic little nod to it, by adding that in there, people instantly know what I'm talking about, right? Like, they know what's going on. Alright, he's getting kind of wild here, so I'm just going to go over it one more time with real rough contour. Castlevania. And what I might show you guys next week, it'll give me a little pressure to show you guys a little update on this, because what I'm thinking is going to happen is over the next little while, this is all I'll be doing is production stuff on this. As long as there's art to be done, I don't want to show you guys writing. What I will show you guys is where the script's at and stuff like that. I don't want to show too much, obviously, but because I'd like you guys to potentially purchase it, but you know, we haven't even started yet, so to ask people to even consider buying things before it's, you know what I mean, like that's just ridiculous. But there's some campy stuff that I want to make sure doesn't get spoiled, so that if you guys do pick it up, I mean, there is at least some new stuff going on there, right, that you haven't seen. So maybe we'll just work on a panel or something like that at a time. Ian saying, Jonathan, looking at that silhouette, I think you can really push those proportions. It looks a bit weak, too uniform still. Let me see. Yeah, I agree. I mean, it looks very safe, right? So at least you pointed it out as well. See, and here's the thing, like this shot here, this reminds me of something that maybe I would have, you know, and I mean this in a very respectful way, something from Capcom. Everything's very like a Street Fighter kind of look to it, which is fine with me. But this looks much different than the silhouette that I have over there. Sometimes it's the silhouette lends me ideas of where things might be, like weapons or costume elements. Like the designs on all this stuff here is just easier to see when it's a silhouette, right? And then when I go in and do this sort of stuff, this is where I start fleshing and finding out the character a bit. For example, like the shoulders, real boxy. So I appreciate the comment, because I think you're right on cue there for sure. Because I'm thinking it too. All right, so I'm going to try and color this like I did in Photoshop. I don't even know what tools I can use here. There's a paintbrush, smooth. Oh, we need bigger than that. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're just going to lay down our first tone. And the only thing we ever add is shadow. There's no highlight layer. And the benefit here of working in just gray is there's lots of shades of gray. Because of that, you can really push like lighting effects without actually having a highlight layer. And by what I mean by that is, so you're going to have your flat gray here, right? And this lighting here is probably going to be just like a normal outside or inside the castle kind of thing. However, if this guy, just say he went down into a dungeon and just saw a sorcerer or a wizard casting a fireball, so there's like, it is the only light source. This flat gray that I could be doing right now very well could be, it could very well be like a very light, almost white gray, and then the shadow could be very dark, and that contrast between the two would make it look not necessarily like there's a highlight, but much brighter. Okay, so let's do that. Now, I don't know if this works in this program, which let's try it out. I know there's a magic wand somewhere here. Oh, there it is. Now, from current layer, is that going to select? All right. And let's see if this works. Phil, is there any like white halo? Yeah, there is. It's all in there. Okay. So we're going to expand selected area by, I don't know, 0.2. And then fill. All right, cool. Jonathan, at one point, you talked about gray tone Copic markers in Manga Studio. Could you show us them? Yeah, sure. Let me just see if I still have it. Yeah, simple Copic marker. Again, I forget who I downloaded this from. All it really is, you guys can kind of see it here already. So if I keep redrawing over an area, it just kind of gets the tone that you want. But if you go quick, it starts to fade in and out. So you can start getting effects like that. And you know, if you go left and right, it's thin. If you go up and down, it's thick, just like the Copic marker. But what it's also doing is, if you look at the bottom there, you see where it looks like it's dark at the bottom? Because that's where, like, if you guys use markers, it's kind of like where the, I guess it's most wet, or because you're tilting the pen up, it's staying there longer, so it soaks. And then you can just keep, you know, drawing over, and it'll get darker, 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 darker. And you can kind of mix and stuff. Let's see if I just throw in some color. See, so you get some pretty cool effects in there. Like a bounce light. So, I don't know where I got this from. Check online. I know somebody actually sells them, I believe. It's probably that Friendin brushes. There's him, and there's like one other cat. And I always forget that guy's name. So we're going to make a new layer, go to multiply. And I'm going to just pick the same gray. Yeah, I will. I'll see if I can find that out for you guys. So this one says it's husky. Not really. Rough? Yeah, that's kind of, we want some texture in there. Alright, now we're getting there. You see where you start getting like this action on the edges? That's what we're kind of looking for. Just makes it look, it kind of matches the pencil. Yeah, that's good. Okay, but the problem is it's still way too dark. When you multiply things, you don't have to actually fade it that much in order to get like a giant variation in there. So let's pick a light source. Where do you guys might be interested in this. This will be the last thing we do. I'll just show, like, I guess a quick lighting thing. Where would you guys like the light source to be? And try not to get too complicated. Don't try not to do two light sources. I just want to do this real simple. Is it coming from the sky, from above him? Is it coming from the left, the right, from below him? Is it coming in front of his face? Left above, we got one vote for that. Far from the back left. Okay, so that's where we'll go from. Oh, we got one person from below. Okay, well, I got two for left and above, and from back left. So like if you're talking back left, I mean you're going like all of this would be in shadow. Let's just go from the left, I guess. Left and above. So where this arrow is. Okay, so what's really cool about that light, I mean it's actually probably what we normally do, or I normally do. So I like to usually worry about the cast shadows first. I know it's probably not the best way to be doing things. Because usually you want to try to find the important shapes first. And I'm actually, just because it's quick, I'm just going to sneak in some texture here. Bang that up, see how that looks. Alright, so here, let's do this right. Let's shade all the things that wouldn't be hit by that light. This side of the hair wouldn't be hit. This brush is a little wacky. I'm trying to keep even the shading somewhat. It's hard because I want to go in here and just start rendering a lot of things out. But it's the style of this is all supposed to be pretty quick, right? So you have to go with what's most important. Okay, so the light's kind of hitting the tops there, so you can see. Underneath of that hair is in shadow. Underneath of this hair is in shadow. But these are actually causing cast shadows. And by these I mean the hair. Whenever you get a chance to do cast shadows, I would say do it. It just gives it like an instant look to it. So for example, this nose, top left, so that means like this nose is even casting a shadow this way, right? All underneath the nose would be in shadow. So put a little slight little dip in there for the nose. The top of your lip gets some shadow on it, and the bottom lip. I kind of like it when he doesn't have it. And the whole side of his face here would be in shadow because there's zero light over there. That chin would normally have a better kind of shadow on it, but we're trying to keep it simple. And I want to add a little bit of shadow above that. And his scar, so the light's hitting here, so the shadow would be on the left of it. And we got the one side of the ear here that's all covered in shadow. It's going to cast a shadow too. Oh, it went out for a little bit there. Sorry about that. Shadow on his eyes. Cast shadow from his chin. And I might actually darken some of this up. It's looking a little light for shadow here. We'll see how much toner this thing eats. Probably all of this is in shadow. See you, Ian. Thanks for stopping by, buddy. And I want all of his shadows, for the most part, if I can, for his like major body shapes, to just be blocky. Just make this bigger here. Alright, so there you go. So, let me just try something here. So the one thing it's lacking, I think, is just generic tone variation, right? So if I go back to this layer, what we're going to do is we're going to pretend there's somewhat color going on here. So his face is just this tone here. I want his headband to be a little darker. Where was it? Smooth? Is that what we had? Yeah, so we're going to put this here a little darker. The bands here. Let me put a little under his eye. What else we got that's darker? We're going to go a little darker for his eyes. I wonder if we just go like that too. Now if we put that layer over top, it's starting to make it pop a little bit more, like there's some extra going on here. Okay, well this is good to know that I'm going to have to practice a little bit. And the last thing I guess I would add is, even though I said I wouldn't do a highlight, for the eyes, usually it's pretty cool. Just put one in there. Mapping pen, let's just go to white. Just makes your focus go there, but we'll see. I mean, you know, color definitely helps separate some of this stuff. I think actually one of the problems now that I'm looking at it is that looks even better right there. But lock, is it lock layer or lock transparent? What I'm gonna do here is just make his hair look a little more blonde. That might help too. Because like I say, his skin color was the same as his hair and stuff, and it's just all kind of blending to one. So if we can use grays, like different shades of gray, to separate a lot of this stuff, it should help it big time. At least make it look less like boring and flat. Get rid of that lipstick. Alright, let's see if we can darken up the shadows a bit. Sorry this is dragging on here, guys. Almost done. Maybe something around there. I don't know. I'll be playing around with this. But anyway, thank you guys so much for stopping by. I really appreciate all the feedback, all the support. Really, really appreciate it, guys. And damn it. There was something, I'll save it for next week. Somebody had a comment about something I was supposed to bring up on the last week's episode. Would probably help you guys out, but I'll save it for then. And thanks you guys once again. If you guys checked out my website, jonathanrector.com, it's still being updated. I had to transfer all the files, but I did add something in there to help you guys out for those of you that are interested in projects I'm working on. There's a bar on the right now that shows all the progress of all the major projects that I'm currently working on, so you guys can see how far along they are in production. So if you guys are interested in picking them up when they're done, or just seeing how it's going, by all means check over there. It's on my website right on the right hand side, as well as all the links where you guys can find me online if you guys wanted to connect with me some other way. So until next Wednesday, everybody, at 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Keep reading comics. Keep making comics. Good luck with all your projects. And I'll see you then. Bye.